welcome. Thanks for joining. While we're here, please find the chat box and the Q&A box in the Zoom control panel. That's how you can chat with us throughout the call and drop any questions you have in Q&A. We can hang around after for a little bit and go through any questions you have, but say hi in chat. And we're going to get started here right away. So you have myself, Barry, and Dan, along with our special guests Chad Horkin and Dio Vanucci, and our host, Tim Brahim. They're going to show you some really important strategies today. So get ready to take notes.
Hey, Di, before we get started here, I do see a couple people emailing in saying they registered but didn't get the actual Zoom link. Is there a
Okay.
Zoom link you could send me so I could forward that out?
Yes, I'll send it to you
Thank
right
you.
now.
Well, we're excited about this. We're going to talk a lot about debt consolidation and how that can improve production. I know that we're looking for ways to do more loans, and even one or two more loans a month can make a very, very, very big difference here, certainly. But it's also helping the customer. It's also really doing what I think is in the best interest of the customer to help them out. Now, there's some obstacles that we have, and those obstacles are certainly one. And Tim, I don't know if you just want to just mute there's a little background noise coming from you just for a moment. There's some obstacles here is that interest rates for many of the people that would be considering debt consolidation are on the lower side. So getting somebody to give up a rate that's in the mid threes and jump to one in the mid to upper sixes, it's a bit of an obstacle. And maybe the obstacle is one that you have in your own mind here. So, one of the best lessons I've ever learned was don't make the decision for the client. I am so excited because what Tim's going to take us through and Chad and Dio are going to take us through is real life examples, how it is benefiting them and what they're doing. But I just want to kind of give you an overview first and just use some slides to just kind of illustrate a basic scenario and just show some of the power. And by the way, you have access to this all inside of MBS Highway. So first of all, thank you for attending. Loan Atlas team, you guys are the absolute best. I don't know how you guys do it, but you constantly come up with so much value. Everybody loves you guys. It's one of the greatest tools out there. And you guys are amongst the greatest teachers that are out there, and you do such a wonderful job. So a heartfelt thank you for constantly bringing so much to the Highway family and helping us, especially the fact that you're doing this through this time where we need you the most. So we love you and we thank you. We really do. Let's take a quick look. I've got some slides to share. I'm not going to take a lot because these guys are the stars of the show, and I don't want to distract from that, but please follow along here. So let's take somebody that purchased a home 5 years ago. Why 5 years ago? Because I want to show somebody who had low interest rates during that low time, 2021 period, maybe it was 2020, 2022. So in that range where they were in the 3% mortgages type of deal. So let's say for a minute they they took out a $400,000 loan. Let's just say it was an 80 LTV. Now today, and Dan and I and Diana, we worked through this, and this is actually a conservative value. The numbers that Dan was coming up with for most markets is greater than this, but we want to try and be conservative. Somebody bought their home 5 years ago. Their value went from 500 to 700,000. That's about right. You don't even need that much. I'll show you why. Normal amortization on a 30-year loan, $400,000 loan today would be having a balance of 362 after the 5-year period. So let's continue. Now, the current rate that they have, let's just say it's 3.5%. They've got 25 years left. They're paying about $1,800 a month. Now, they took out an 80 LTV initially, but now their remaining balance on today's value is a 52 LTV. So this is their current status. Now, while going in a rate and term refinance would be a non-starter, clearly they do, in many cases, have debt. And they're under the strain of debt and they need your help. We'll give you an example. And we went through many different scenarios. So clearly, if they went to 6.75 on a new loan today with $3,000 in closing costs, that wouldn't make sense. But the debt is what matters. As we take a peek here, what we can look at is we could say, okay, they're paying right now a little over $6,000 a month. Where is that? It is the principal and interest. It's the taxes and insurance. And then they've got installment debt. They've got a car payment, and they've got revolving debt. And these, based upon purchase prices of vehicles today, we're looking at real numbers that people would incur for their car payment for a car loan or for revolving debts that we see. Let's break it down a little bit further. Now, again, this should say 5 years ago. Forgive me, that's a typo on my part. 5 years ago was 500,000 with the original loan, 400. As I said, today's value is 700 with the remaining balance 362. So they've got $338,000 in equity. They can't tap all of it, but how much can they tap? They're able to take 75% pretty easily of the $700,000 value, which is a 525 loan. 525 loan minus the 362 remaining balance that they have existing is tappable equity of 163,000. So we know they have total equity at 338, but they could pull out up to 163. Now, what I'm going to show you is they're not going to need that much, but let's walk through this together. So here's their debts. They got Visa, MasterCard, Discover, Macy's. They've got a car payment based upon a $55,000 loan. And as you know, the average price of a car these days, believe it or not, is $50,000. That's average. So of a new car. So $55,000 vehicle loan is certainly within the realm of where many people sit. That means they've got $111,000 of debt. Now, whoops, let me go back. Forgive me. $111,000 in debt, but they do have, as you could see, $163,000 that is usable. They can use that $163,000. They don't need all of it. So if they pay up $111,000 in debt, maybe another, let's say $3,000 or $4,000 in closing costs, they might need a grand total of $115,000. So they don't even need it to appraise that high, but it clearly will. And perhaps initially might have taken out a 90 LTV instead of an 80. They'll still have enough money to pay this off. Okay. So we feel that this is very realistic that they would have the amount of cash available. So what would happen if they did that? Well, the immediate amount of savings that would give them relief is $2,210 a month. Now, this is real money, team. To save $2,000 a month, this is life-changing. And I know people could either get in the realm of, I'm locked into, I'm leaving 3.5 and going to 6 3/4. That sucks. Maybe I don't want to do it. But real life, I will do it if I'm going to have an extra $2,200 a month. But team, it's much better than this, because here's where your skill as a wealth creator comes into play. Because this is $2,210 of essentially found money. If they were to use this and pay down their mortgage by the same amount, just to show you, to say, look, let's say you change nothing. Just make believe everything's the same, except follow my advice to consolidate debt. Then that means make the same aggregate payment you're making now, which means you've got this extra $2,200 a month, and I want you to apply it as for example, towards principal. If you did that through the miracle of the amortization schedule, and by the way, if you don't go through the amortization schedule with your clients, it's a big mistake. I did this with every single one of my clients for over 20 years on every single loan to show them how they could use it as a tool to create wealth. You would take that loan, which has existing 25 years and 4 months remaining, and make it just 10.5 years remaining. So you're going to save them 15 years worth of payments. 15 years, 178 payments to be exact. Now, what is the ramification of that? Because that looks good 15 years from now. I'm sorry, 10 years and a half from now, I don't have any more mortgage payments. That seems like a great deal, but the ramifications are much greater than that, because the way your equity grows through the amortization schedule, and here's what I want to show you, Mr. and Mrs. Client, is this. Today, you owe $361,765. You owe debts of this much. We add that together, throw in $4,000 or $3,000 for closing costs. I do a new loan for you. Yes, it's 6 3/4. I know that doesn't look good, but I want to show you where you will be 5 years from now if you take out a loan with me today for $475, $765 at 6 3/4. 5 years from now, if you left things the same, you would be having a mortgage balance of $312. Your revolving debts would stay the same. Yes, your installment loan went away, which is why that car payment comes off, but your revolving debts stay. So you still owe $368. If you do this with me, even though the rate's 6 3/4 and you're giving up 3.5, your mortgage balance, believe it or not, drops to $289 from $475. When you compare this to where you would be if you left things alone with your 3.5% mortgage, you're up $79,000 in just 5 years. Now it's 79,000 of real money, and that is irrefutable. Now, you're going to pay this thing off 5.5 years later. Let's see, where would we be after 10.5 years? Well, with the existing loan at 3.5%, well, you'd still owe 249. So I know you love your 3.5% loan, but you're going to be loving it a lot longer because you got a lot more payments to make, and you'd still owe 305,000. If you chose to do this debt consolidation with me, who's responsible not to get a loan for you, but to create wealth for you. I want to get you a low rate, but my main priority is to create wealth. You're going to have zero as your debt. You will mathematically be ahead of the game 10 years and 6 months from now, 10.5 years from now, by $305,000. This is how I create wealth for you. And this is how, not getting fixated on, oh, I love my 3.5. Be creative and understanding that what you're about to do here is create wealth for yourself. Even though the rate's higher, the wealth creation number is irrefutable. And remember, you're not changing the amount in aggregate that you're paying every month. You're making the same payment you're making now. But as good as this sounds, believe it or not, it gets better, because your payments that you're saving is 178 payments. 178 payments. That means that starting 10.5 years from now, I'm not making any more payments that I would have had to continue to make. So I gained 305,000, and I'm not making another 178 payments of principal and interest of almost $1,800 a month. So in the future, I'm saving $319,000 worth of payments. Look, team, the plan on this is very simple. Mr. and Mrs. Client, I'm just giving you a follow-up call. The last time we spoke, we saved rate. This time, let's try and save years and create wealth. And you could do the math. Will everybody do this? No. But you call enough people, you're going to get enough loans. That's what I wanted to start off with, because I am so passionate about this. I think it's powerful. And I am now leaving you to the hands of the greatest experts on bringing this to life for you and doing this. So, guys, thank you for indulging me this 6 or 7 minutes or so. I wanted to leave that with you guys in your hands.
Thank you, bro. So, look, I want to set the table before I introduce first Dio Vanucci and then Chad Horkin. Look, in the 30 plus years that I've been in this business, all the way back to when I was a loan originator, at the same time that Barry was a loan originator, I'm sure that Barry would concur. The most successful loan originators, and I happen to have been one of them at that time, and I've coached many of them, including these two gentlemen that are going to present to you today. They are the ones who know where to look and find and create deals where other people are not looking. And in an environment like the one that we have right now with enhanced interest rates, it is the originator that understands that there are deals out there. I just need to look in different places than I'm traditionally looking in and that others are looking in. And I figure out how to create deals from the existing environment. Those are the ones who win. And right now, it doesn't, obviously take a rocket scientist to figure out that debt consolidation, and done in various forms. It could be done vis-a-vis a refinance, which Chad will talk about and which Barry just spoke to, but it can also be done from the perspective of getting someone to move up. So I want to set the table for Dio here just a second and say this. We're in the latter months of 2026. Believe it or not, it's been about 6.5 years now since COVID happened, since it initially happened. And in that 6.5 year period of time, most people have stayed in their home because they got locked into these very low interest rates. And many of them are getting tired of the current home that they're in, but they feel like they can't leave the existing indebtedness that they have because it is an asset rather than a liability, an asset being because it's such a low interest rate. But there's a different perspective that people should be looking at, and it's up to you as an originator to present this perspective to them, which is the opportunity for them to actually have the home that they want to live in and to have it make good financial sense. Because on the surface, if you just look at the headline and you're locked in at 3.25% and you want to buy a new home and the rates are currently at 7%, it's a showstopper for you. But it doesn't have to be that way, and Dio Vanucci is going to talk to us about why. Dio, welcome to this call on debt consolidation with Highway, and let you take it from here, buddy.
Thanks, Tim. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And so just Tim and I are going to do a little role playing here. And so just to kind of set the frame for where this conversation for me takes place is typically early in the process, usually during the discovery call. I'm asking those questions to really determine which path I need to go. And so at some point, once rapport is reached and the initial client filters are cleared, this is kind of where we're at in the conversation. Let me get my screen shared. And basically, what I want to show you here is, and can you guys see my screen okay?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So we're going to go ahead and just build one out on the fly because this is kind of how I like to do it. It's to me, it's helpful when I'm speaking to a customer. And so we're just going to go ahead and I'm going to do this part and get it out of the way. So Tim, we're just going to assume, listen, I know you're probably top tier credit, but we're not going to go there. And I know from already part of our conversation, we're going to have 12 grand a month in income. So we'll start there. So Tim, based on what you've shared, this is really the exact kind of situation that we help with. And so, the next step isn't committing to anything. It's just really getting clear on the numbers so that you can make great decisions. So, with that being said, would you be open to us taking a little more holistic view of your finances so that I can make sure that our mortgage strategy best fits your overall financial picture?
Yeah, sure. That would be great. Before we do, I have a quick question for you. Has anybody told you how handsome you are?
Oh man, thanks, Tim. You got me,
Yeah,
got me
break
there.
the ice, buddy. Let's go.
Well, great. So I've got just a few questions that are going to help me get a clearer picture, and then I'm going to get to work on developing your personalized strategy. So to start, tell me about your installment debt. Do any car loans, student loans, anything that you're currently paying on?
Yeah, we've got two vehicle payments. Mine's 750 a month, and I think we pay around 11. Let's call it 1100 a month on my wife.
So on the one that you pay 750 a month for, what's the balance on that loan?
I owe I think 27,000 on mine, and I think on my wife's it's down to around 22,000, something like that.
Okay, great. And you said 1100 a month on that, Tim?
Yeah,
Perfect. Okay.
on hers.
So,
Yeah.
how about credit cards, store cards, any kind of revolving debt? And it's okay if you just have kind of a rough total of all the balances and monthly minimums. We'll be able to get a clearer picture on your credit. But for now, do you know roughly where you stand?
Yeah, my wife and I were just going over this, and it caused my blood pressure to rise. We're at about $38,000 in revolving debt, and I think the payments are around 1150 a month, something like that.
Okay. Now, Tim, would you estimate that the rates on those cards are somewhere between 24 and 29% interest?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I don't look at it that often, but I believe so. I know that we have a Visa card that's at zero interest, but that's going to roll over into a high interest rate at some point.
Okay. And what's the balance on that card, and for how long will that 0% last?
I think it runs out at the end of the year, so like December, and I think we owe about 8,000 on it.
Okay, perfect. So that's good info. Any other debts that you guys are paying on?
Not that I know of, but you might want to check with my wife.
Okay, that's fair enough. So you mentioned earlier that you'll be selling your current home simultaneously with this purchase, right? So do you
Mhm.
remember what you guys paid for your house and when you bought it?
Yeah, we bought it, in the early days of the pandemic. I remember in 2020, and we paid 259,000 for it, I believe.
Okay, great. And then, so do you know how much you pay monthly for taxes and insurance in that as part of your payment?
I don't know. It's wrapped into the payment, so I don't really know. I don't pay attention to it.
Okay, that's no worries. I can use estimates for now. So what is your total payment?
1,450 and change.
Okay. I can work with that. So now you mentioned you were already working with an agent on getting it listed. Have you guys discussed the realtor fee at all?
Yeah, they're They're listing it at 3%, and then we agreed that we'd pay another 3% to a buyer's agent that brings in the
Okay.
buyer.
Okay, great. So I'll use the 6% right now just to be safe. What are you guys going to be asking for the house?
She thinks we can get 375,000 for it. I hope she's right.
Wow. That's fantastic. Talk about a win. I mean, that's a six-figure appreciation in 6 years. So you obviously pick your house as well. Now, listen, for the sake of this, I'm going to use a little bit lower value, just assuming that there may be some negotiations, when it comes to seller concessions, et cetera. Now, did you guys refinance at any point after you bought it?
Um, no, we didn't refinance him. We did an FHA loan and we got in at 2 7/8. So I don't think there's been any refinance potential since.
Perfect. Perfect. So, well, now that 2.875. Now we're talking about the glory days, as we call it. Kind of actually brings a tear to my eye. So, you said your payment was right at 1450. I'm estimating your loan balance to be right around 215. Does that sound about right to you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was last time I saw it on the statement it was around 214,000 and change. So yeah, it's figure
Okay.
215.
Okay. Well, that lines up. So, has your agent provided you an estimate of the net proceeds you can expect yet?
And she was saying that she thought that we would net out around $140,000, something like that.
Okay, great. So this has been great, and I've got a really good idea now of where your finances are, and this is going to be a big help as I design your strategy. So, Tim, most people at this stage have one concern that they haven't said out loud yet: rates, approval, monthly payments, or something else. Like, what's yours?
I mean, the rate that we have on our current house, I'm just worried that even with a big down payment of that 140,000, even if we put it all down on the new house, it's still going to make us house poor. With this high interest rate environment, my wife is just so tired of this house, and I don't want to disappoint her. You know the phrase "happy wife, happy life." So I'm kind of trying to accommodate her.
Yeah, totally. I understand that, and you aren't alone. So, um, but the good news is I'm already thinking of a couple creative solutions that I think are going to really blow your mind. So we'll go over that in a day or two when we do our pre-purchase consultation, and I'll share that with you then.
Sounds good. I look forward to seeing it.
All right. So we're just going to jump to that. I'm not going to build this out live because it's super easy. You guys that do loans, you know how to input numbers into a screen. So we're going to jump to the actual presentation, and this is how I would present it. Now, I will tell you that there is a little toggle when you build out the debt consolidation tool. Um, and I'll show it to you super quick just because I think it's important to see it. Go here to the existing property loan, or the proposed property loan. And at the very bottom, this little box, if you check or uncheck that, it will apply all of the cash to the down payment automatically. And you really, for me, I want that to show because I really want to show somebody the difference. So in our conversation, Tim, you had mentioned being a little bit concerned about being house poor and about the potential payment increase. And you've got such a great rate, 2.875%. I can understand why you'd think that. And so I want to start and show you really just kind of a raw loan. If you took all of the equity from your existing house and dumped it into the new house, I want to show you kind of where that would be. So currently, your existing monthly payments are right around 4450. That includes the $1,500 for your house, and then you mentioned your car payments total up to about 1850, along with your revolving debt at 1150. So if we dump all of that equity into the new house, your total debt is going to increase by about 1,200 bucks. You're going to be around 5740 because your installment revolving debts are going to be the same. And yes, even with that big down payment, because of the interest rate, you're still going to have about a $2,700 payment. Okay. Now, so what I would propose, Tim, is debt. Okay, but some debts are a better type of debt to have than others. Credit card debt, we talked about this earlier. You said you felt like those were at between 24 and 29%. And I imagine today you may be able to pay a little bit more than the minimum, but if you up your monthly outflow by another $1,300, that's going to cramp your ability to really make headway on those credit cards. So my suggestion, instead of doing that, at a minimum, would be to use some of that equity, and instead of putting it into the house, would be to put it and pay off all those credit cards. Let's get rid of that $1,150 a month. So now, instead of a $1,300 monthly increase, you're only at a $466 monthly increase. But there's another alternative as well. And this is going to be a little bit more personal preference. So, Tim, I was looking on your credit and I noticed that your wife's vehicle is going to be paid off in approximately 2 years. Now, are you the type folks that typically will keep a vehicle for several years, or do you tend to trade pretty often? How does that work for you guys?
Well, I hope that my wife doesn't get as tired of me as she does her cars, because she historically was always wanting to trade about every 3 or 4 years.
Okay. Well, then you're probably not too far from trading. So there's two ways to look at this, Tim. You could eliminate that vehicle debt, and now instead of going up in payment, your total monthly outflow is actually going to drop by $400 a month. Most of your monthly payment is going to be attached to the house payment, but your actual outflow is going to shrink. Now, here's the thing to keep in mind. A lot of people would look at that and go, yeah, well, that's basically financing my car for 30 years. Well, it's not technically, it's paying off a car. Her vehicle still has value on trade, not to mention the fact that now you can pile this monthly savings into a savings account so that you can just pay cash for the next vehicle as well, or at minimum, have a very small car payment. Now, this isn't required, so you have a little bit of flexibility to do either one, and this includes everything. So when I show you this, this total monthly payment, it does include monthly mortgage insurance, and thankfully, this system will automatically update that. So if you end up going with just the minimum down and say put 10% down, we're good. You know exactly how much you're going to save. If you decide to not pay off your wife's vehicle, we're going to account for that. Your total monthly payment is going to drop down. Yes, it's going to be $3,000 a month, which I know is a significant increase over what your current monthly house payment is. But keep in mind, this revolving goes to zero and you're not paying 29% interest anymore. So, Tim, are there any questions that you have, about this, or any other way that you'd like to see it presented?
Yeah, I guess the first question that I have is, so what I'm hearing you say is I'm going to be paying $2,900 all in for my taxes and insurance inclusion, and then I'm not going to have any other payments that I have to make a month, on a monthly basis for cars and credit cards and all of that. Is that also a tax benefit, me doing so, because I've taken money that I can't write off and built it into a new larger mortgage that is tax deductible?
Absolutely, because obviously credit card interest, vehicle interest, none of that is a tax write-off. Mortgage interest absolutely is. So when you do that, if you're in a position where your itemized deductions exceed the standard, that's just going to increase the amount of deduction that you can have. And we can actually look at that. I need to get your tax returns and kind of review those to see exactly what kind of tax benefit you'd have. And I'm no CPA, but yes, the short answer is yes, it would be a benefit there as well.
Cool. And then I would presume that there would also be the potential, since we'd have such a high interest rate, to refinance the mortgage some point in time in the future.
Yeah, and that's actually something else I was going to mention, is that we monitor this with what we call your strike rate, and so I actually have your the ability to set your strike rate up right here, and we'll actually be tracking this rate for you in real time, so that when the market drops to an appropriate number, I'm going to actually be alerted and reach out to you immediately to get that refinanced. And then the benefit becomes even larger to you at that point. So really, that's I mean, in a nutshell, that is how I present it. And one of the things, so we can be done with the role playing now, Tim. Thank you for bringing up the tax benefit. I often forget about that, but anyway, what I was going to say is this is something that anytime I have a client that is, carrying over a large amount of equity, and I've been able to determine on the discovery call that they do carry some additional debt, such as credit cards or maybe high car payments. I I always will present a debt consolidation to them. Not everybody wants to do it that way. Some people just prefer to put it into their house. But I would say that about 80% of my clients that I present this to opt to do some form of debt consolidation. And it's really impressive when somebody has 11 credit cards and you list them all out individually and you can show them wiping that all out. It is such a cool tool because they see just that stress being lifted from them.
So I'll add a couple of things, just a little color commentary before we go over to Chad. And great job, Dio. I've known Dio for a couple of years now. He's an outstanding loan originator. As you can see, he presents himself in a very articulate way. He does a good job of building relationships with clients. And then on top of all of that, he uses these tools in a very effective manner. I think that it's very important in this conversation to also continue to tie back to the emotional experience of the new home. So like, yes, the numbers are important. The way that you present the numbers are critically important, but I would also be consistently tying back to, what is it about, this new home that you're looking for that is an upgrade to what you currently have? Well, it's in a better school district, or it has an extra bedroom, or it has, a bigger backyard. And I would continually be anchoring back to the emotional component of a better life, a better situation from an emotional perspective for your family. And, oh, by the way, it's at a significant reduction after tax from what you're currently paying right now. And you don't have to worry about having so many different payments going out every month. It's just one payment. And your credit score is going to go through the roof, because when you pay these credit cards off, now all of a sudden you're going to have zero balances on all of them, and you're going to watch your credit score pop. And setting up the future refi, this is a temporary savings situation. This savings is going to get better because the rates are going to come down, and I'm going to proactively monitor it for you. So there's all kinds of components to it. And this goes back to what I was saying at the very beginning before I introduced Dio, which is that, the thing that I see that originators have a difficult time with is shape shifting into a new presentation when market conditions change. And your job is to consistently be one step ahead and to be taking a step back and going, all right, what's the sell right now? Where are their deals? Who has pain right now? Who can I help? And what does the presentation look like for me to be able to go out and find deals? And think about presenting this type of a presentation that Dio just articulated to real estate agents. Hey, who do you have that you've talked to over the last couple of years that you couldn't get off the fence because they're locked into their 3.25% interest rate, that I can present this scenario to, and maybe I can help move them into a buying situation for you. So there's a lot of different nuances to it. Now, the next person that I want to introduce is Chad Horkin, who I've known for quite some time as well, actually longer than Dio. He's an outstanding loan originator with Kind Lending. And Chad, take over from here, because you want to talk about a different way that you're doing debt consolidation as it relates to refinance, more akin to what Barry was talking about.
Thanks, Tim. So my side of the platform here, I'm looking at the blended rate calculator on MBS Highway, and I use it to really help regurgitate what clients come to us with. They come to us with a little embarrassment on how much debt they may have accumulated, and this helps show them a great visual on how much we can utilize their current home equity, give up that lower interest rate. I put together 2 scenarios for us and utilize that equity to improve the overall cash flow for the household. Diana, if you could put up scenario 1, that would be great.
And guys, the tool that we're looking at is found under the calculators tab called blended rate, like Chad said.
Yep. So these are live examples. I closed both of these scenarios this last month. The first particular client, they came to us and they got a first mortgage at 3.875. So a great rate, very affordable. They like the house. They do not want to leave, but they're having monthly cash flow issues. Just like, where did all our cash go? It's a husband and wife, and they accumulated debt both jointly and individually. And that individual debt they hadn't shared with each other. And once they had a conversation as to where all their money was going, they realized that they actually had accumulated 15 credit cards. It's real life. 15 credit cards at $70,000, and the interest rates were 27% on almost all of them. They had a home equity at 7%, not a bad rate, but again, that is an interest-only payment. So this platform, the blended rate calculator, allowed me to show them their blended rate of 8.625. Now, as a result of 70,000 in credit card debt, as you can imagine, their utilization rate is anywhere from 90 to 100%. That resulted in a lower credit score. So this particular example, the credit score was 661. So it doesn't give us the best terms to refinance out, but I still kept it a conventional product and it educated them as to the difference between a rate and term refinance and a cash out refinance. So this is teeing them up for that strike rate and putting them in position for that down the road. This made it very easy for them to understand how much their monthly debt was truly costing them, taking the fixation off of the 3.875, moving it on to the 8.625 of the blended rate. In this particular case, I was able to save them well over $1,000 a month in their monthly savings. They understand now the goal is takes the embarrassment somewhat away as to how they weren't communicating and accumulated so much debt. I'd say one of the other pickups in this, they thought their property was only worth $475,000. It was actually worth $515,000. So, it's summarized where they're at, that we're moving them to a healthier financial monthly basis for their household and getting them back on, good talking terms for what debt is and who's going to manage those debts. I did run a simulator as to what their credit score is going to do once those balances are paid off. And I showed them our exit strategy on that. And I was able to show them that they're going to get almost 60 to 80 points in that range, which is going to take them into the 700s, which will give them obviously a better interest rate once their credit score does rebound with it. Second scenario, if we can move over to that one.
You see it
Hey,
here, Chad?
Chad, while
Yeah.
you're doing that, can you just name the credit score simulator? Because a couple of people are asking for that, and I know they're going to want it. What do you use?
Yep. So our tri-merge provider is Advantage Credit, and they have two simulators that are free of charge within their provider. So I'd look at who your credit provider is and what services they use, but it is free.
Right on. Keep going. Thanks, bro.
Yep. So second situation, very different. She came to us and she accumulated similar amount of debt, 71,000, but she did that in trying to help her daughter pay for college. She's a single mom, so one income. She's on commission. It's a variable income a job on a monthly basis, so she does have fluctuation with it. But she actually had an even better rate than scenario one, 2.875, and she was very fixated on it, but she was drowning in debt. So we were able to not only save her on a monthly basis, we were able to set her up for another strike rate down the road. Again, credit score was already good, so we don't have to worry about that on the takeout refinance. And then another item, because we do a full review of all their finances, we noticed her homeowner's insurance. When we showed her a new proposed payment, the payment was substantially higher. She's like, I thought I was going to save more. So let me take a look at this. Well, my team had gotten her current homeowner's insurance declaration page and noticed that she was paying a little over $4,000 a month for her home insurance alone. So we got a referral out to our insurance partner and was able to take that down $2,300 cheaper by referring it. So we looked at her whole financial household makeup. We cleaned up her revolving debt. We looked at homeowners insurance. So we are providing really solid service here in taking the focus off of that lower interest rate first that everyone's so proud of achieving, but really looking at their monthly cash flow and overall household income. Now, these savings, just like Barry said and Dio said, they can take some of that extra savings and still apply that to that new mortgage payment to get that paid off sooner if they choose. We go over that with all of them as well.
Yeah, I think that I want to say a few things here. And then we're going to open it up to Q&A for these two guys. So hang tight, get your questions ready. The first thing is that I would always, in any type of a refinance situation, whether it be a rate and term refi or a debt consolidation refi. It didn't matter. I would always present what I called the same payment refi option. And the same payment refi option is, here's what you're paying right now. What does it look like if you keep paying what you're paying right now? And Barry kind of showed this at the beginning. How long will it take for you to be debt free? Because don't forget, some people, and I've seen this in the chat, some people are very cash flow sensitive right now. And that's where saving them money by consolidating all this debt really helps. But other people are term sensitive, meaning they want to be debt free as soon as possible. They may be paying more than they should be paying, but they're affording it and they're used to paying it. And you want to present to them the option of, like, if you keep paying what you're paying right now and consolidate all this into one, you're going to pay this loan off in 12 and a half years or whatever it is and save yourself, $98,000 in interest over the course of the life of the loan. You sell the big number. Make sure that you're selling the big number. So that's an important takeaway. Number two is that your database is your gold mine. I mean, you've heard me say this a million times, and you'll probably hear me say it a million more. I mean, this starts with you simply picking up the phone and disciplining yourself to calling 3 to 5 past clients every day if you're slow right now. Discipline, block it in the morning, call them up. The script isn't very complicated. It's like, hey, I just wanted to give you a call and check in with you and see how you and your family are doing. Is there anything new that's happening in your life? Warm conversation. Connect with them for a minute, okay? Lower their guard. Then you just simply say, one of the things that I've been doing is calling all of my clients because it's been a little while since we've spoken, and I know that life happens. And I've found that some of my clients have incurred debt, whether it be auto loans, a second trust deed on their house, revolving credit card debt. And there are sometimes opportunities for me to consolidate all of that debt as a debt manager and save them money. I've been doing that a lot lately, and I'd like to take the opportunity to visit your situation with you just to see if there's anything that might be able to be done to help you with whatever your current cash flow situation is. It's a simple question. People are not going to say no to you if you start off with a warm conversation and you offer it up this way, and then you evaluate it. And if it doesn't make sense, you move on and you set a strike rate and you keep monitoring for them on a go-forward basis. And if it does make sense, then you present some of the options that these two gentlemen have been speaking to you about. Okay, before we go to Q&A, I want to talk to you about a few things. So, we've been doing the combo highway loan atlas calls now for like a year and a half. So it's not like you guys don't know what the loan atlas is, but I want to share some things with you that I've been experiencing with the community lately that have been really amazing. Okay, so first of all, in the second half of this year, I've been the co-head of faculty along with Josh Metal, and I've been hosting the masterclass calls. And the last couple of masterclass calls have been so unbelievably good. Michael Regan and Jay Voorhees, the one in August, and the one with Jay Dacey, Josh Burris, and Caleb LeGrand in July. These masterclasses are very similar to what you're experiencing right now. So if you like this format, then imagine if you had access to this every single month. In fact, you have access to 7 live coaching calls every single month. But what I want to share with you is a recent testimonial that I received yesterday that I think is interesting. You have to pardon me for a second because the gentleman spelled loan the wrong way, but other than that, it's a beautiful testimonial. So let me share my screen real quick. And I just want to read you this. It's very short. This email came in from Daniel Williams. He sent it to Craig Strent. Craig, I hope you're doing well. I wanted to share a success story regarding the Loan Atlas. About 3 weeks ago, I had a client in Ohio who's referred to me, and it was going along well. I got the typical, hey, I got 2 other quotes, Dan. Your pricing is a little bit off. Can you sharpen it and at least match this? Of course, my ego kicked in, and honestly, I got a little bit pissed. I crafted this email basically saying, of course, I'm worth X amount more dollars a month. Look at how great I am, kind of that BS stuff. Once again, my ego was kicking in, and I stopped myself. I said, I'm going to throw this email into the Loan Atlas AI tool. And the Loan Atlas AI companion tool basically told me, whoa, let's rewind this and take a completely different approach. I sent that email, I got the deal, and we'll be closing it next week. I wanted to share this with you and the folks at the Loan Atlas. What a great tool. Put more than a few $1,000s into my pocket, so thank you. All right. What is he talking about? What he's talking about are the AI tools that we've been creating all year long in the Loan Atlas. So I just want to share with you real quick what the Loan Atlas is, and then we're going to go to the Q&A. It's going to take me about 2 minutes to do it. So 7 live coaching calls every single month. You're never more than a week away from your next live coaching call. Josh Metal does an AI lab every single month. I do Talk to Tim, my live coaching forum, every single month. We have office hours with one of our 21 faculty members that are teachers every single week. And then we have a master class every month, which is similar to the one that you're sitting in on right now. There are over 200 training modules spanning the 8 disciplines of origination mastery, over 100 hours of educational content professionally produced in the Atlas that you get access to. There's an all-star faculty of coaches, people like Dio and Chad, that are coaching you every single month, that have funded over $29 billion in production. They're doing this in the live call format. The perfect loan process is included in the Loan Atlas, along with all the trainings as to how to implement it. And then there's the AI stuff. So let's talk about the AI stuff real quickly, because this is the exciting thing. The AI sales and scripting coach is what this gentleman was talking about in his email. This is a professional scripting coach that has been trained on all of the faculty's content to answer your sales objections, craft your emails, craft your text messages, respond to the disgruntled borrower, sell in a challenging competitive situation. This is first in class, and you have access to it in the Atlas. There's also Follow Up Pro. What's Follow Up Pro? Well, we know, and I'm going to unshare my screen just for a second here. We know that, give me one sec. Actually, I don't know how to do that, so I'm going to just leave it up here. There we go, stop share. One of the most challenging things that you deal with as a loan originator is this. You consult with a client, you get them to say yes to you, you want to move forward with doing the loan, and then your job becomes that of hopefully of a great communicator. You need to communicate back to the borrower the nature of your conversation. You need to communicate to your team all of the important notes from that conversation. You need to be able to communicate to your referral partner, thanking them and filling them in on what was discussed. You don't have to do that anymore. Follow Up Pro is absolutely amazing. You simply take the transcript from that consult with your borrower, you dump it into the Atlas Follow Up Pro tool, and it immediately does 3 things. It takes all of the information from that conversation and puts it into a ready-to-read format that you can copy and paste in your LOS for your team to be up to speed. So no more you having to remember, you having to try to regurgitate. It creates an email thanking the real estate agent that referred the client to you, and summarizes, without including the financial information, the specifics of the conversation, so they're in the loop. And it generates a follow-up email with all of the important details of the conversation that you can send to your client. It all happens in the span of 60 seconds. That's another tool that you have access to. Finally, and then I'll be done, is that you have we have the AI business and life planning tool as well. So you can create your business plan for 2027. It's all AI generated. There's so much to offer. And let me just tell you the price. We have a special. Normally, the Atlas is $349 a month. Normally, Home Report is $169 a month. We're including a Home Report bundle here. You want to scan this QR code if you'd like to take advantage of it. So the retail rack rate is $518 a month for these 2 products. Today's bundle is $249 a month, or $24.90 for the entire year up front. Now, just to be clear, it's an annual subscription either way, but what we're doing is we're saving you a massive amount of money here. Okay, we're knocking out this thing in more than half. And if you pay the $24.90 all up front, you get both products for a year, and essentially you get 12 months for the price of 10. So my recommendation would be for you to just pay it all up front and get the steepest discount that's available on this. We're talking about the difference between $5,180 and $2,490, and that's available through this next Monday. Scan the QR code if you'd like to become a member. We would love to have you. All I can tell you is we love doing this. We love helping people. We love coaching people. We love doing the types of things that we're doing on this call, and we'd love to do that for you for the next year and help you learn and grow and become a more effective originator. Now, with that said, I want to turn this over to Di, who just popped back on. Maybe you have some questions that you fielded. I'm sure that these 2 gentlemen, that people are going to want to ask them some questions. So let's turn the audience loose on Chad and Dio and see how they can further coach them.
Yeah, so a couple things. First, fantastic. I think everybody has a lot to walk away with, and please guys and gals, use the strategy right away, make the phone calls right away, and you'll see some results pretty quickly. Dan and I were just chatting separately. There is actually a typo. The bundle is $269 a month or $26.90 a year. So when you get to that landing page, and I'll send the link again in chat, just know it's going to be $269 or $26.90 after the discount, and that's for the bundle.
Thank you.
No
Thank
problem.
you.
And on that note, if you have either Loan Atlas or Home Report already, or a combination of some highway tools, any confusion, just email me. I'll put that there too, Diana@mbshighway.com, and we'll go through it all together. We're going to go through questions now, but one that I saw frequently is this recorded? Are the slides being shared? No slides to share because they all come from MBS Highway Tools. So use the blended rate under the calculators tab, use debt consolidation under the loan advisor tab, and yes, this recording will be sent to you later.
Hey, Di, let me say something about that real quick. You know,
Sure.
over the last 2 decades of being a coach, I run into clients all the time that have a difficult time with the adoption of these types of tools. And the best way to learn how to use it is to just get in there and use it. I mean, you know, like I don't have some magic answer, but what I want to say is this, is that shying away from it and saying, it's overwhelming to me or it's too complicated, it's not going to get you another deal. It's definitely not going to get you another deal, and it's not going to serve your clients. So the originators that I know and that I coach, like Dio and Chad, that use these tools religiously, they just dove in. Chad, Dio, would you like to comment on that? I mean, how did you adopt the utilization of these tools?
I'll start. Yeah, I was just going to say, I mean, I just dive in. I mean, I think the visual representation, when you say it to a customer, they don't necessarily hear how much it's costing them in monthly debt and interest. But when you show them the visual, it's so easy. And the MBS Highway tools, either what Dio presented or myself, they're super easy to navigate. I pull it up, I can do it live with the customer right in my office and show them. It literally takes 5 minutes to build. So having these platforms is critical going forward in helping us just show that we're professional, show that we know what we're doing, and it's a good financial decision for them.
Yeah,
and
Tim, I think. Oh, sorry, Dio.
Go ahead, Dan.
I was just going to piggyback on Tim's point. You know, I think the people that are most successful with, you know, a lot of people join calls like this, they see some great ideas, but then they just fail to execute. You know, you have to just jump right in and just start using it. That's the best way to get comfortable with it and learn it. And just remember, I mean, this isn't a strategy that's going to work for every single person, but I think the way that Tim scripted and framed it is that at a minimum, it's a great touch point to set up a strike rate, but to get back in front of them and, you know, don't start poking holes in it and shying away from it. You know, that's not what a good salesperson does, but really look to see if it's a good fit for them. And, you know, even taking them from a lower rate to a higher rate, it can make sense in some instances. And again, it's not going to work for everybody, but you can probably find a deal or two a month, which is significant in this environment. If you just put in a little bit of consistent work and are making those 5 or 10 calls a day to the database. And again, it's a great touch point to even at a minimum set up that strike rate.
I mean, Dio, I'm going to kick it over to you in a second because then you had something that Dan just said right there. So true. I mean, it's just like, get out of the cave and hunt, make phone calls, talk to people, ask people that you know that you're close with. Hey, who do you know that might be able to benefit from saving some money right now by consolidating all their debt? I mean, it's not magic. It's just about getting active. It's about getting active and getting proactive. And the next thing you know, you're going to run into a deal. And you're like, oh shit, where'd that deal come from? Well, because you were active. You were out there running into deals rather than sitting back and hoping that your phone would ring. Dio, over to you.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, you know, the debt consolidation tool for me, you know, I got used to like creating my own spreadsheets and trying to figure out how to do it, but the presentation was ugly and clunky and it just didn't look right. And so what I actually did is I took an existing loan that was, you know, had already closed, but I had the information on it. I think often the hurdle is, well, I don't have anybody right now that I can try this on. Well, you have old files. Just pull up an old file, pull up an old credit report and play with the tool. And you will find like, oh man, I could have saved these people $1,100 a month if I would have just shown them this, if I'd have thought of this. And so now, I mean, it's an automatic thought to me because this is a massive differentiator. And when you're in a market like we're in right now, everybody needs something to differentiate themselves from the loan officer down the street, from the other guy, from the guy that's given a rate, a payment, and a cash to close over the phone. When you're able to present something like this debt consolidation tool, it is such I mean, I hate to use the term, but it's a game changer when it comes to creating you, putting you in a position of authority with your client, and being a trusted advisor rather than just a vendor or a debt salesman.
Great. So let's take some questions. Who has questions for these guys?
And if you guys asked any questions earlier in the call and we didn't get to them, they're kind of buried now. Please feel free to add them again in the chat or Q&A on the Zoom control panel. I see a quick one here. Just what's the best way to share the screen for debt consolidation? Get on a Zoom with them or in person with them, like Chad said, bring them into your office. Obviously, the quickest and easiest way. But there's also a way to record a video along with your MBS highway tools, any of them, not just the debt consolidation. I want to show you very quickly how that's done. Once you create your scenario, when you go to this share menu at the top right, you can very easily record a video right through here, not just on this tool. You can transfer over from, say, the blended rate now to the debt consolidation, show them both, talk them and walk them through, and it'll attach to an interactive link, which makes it even nicer.
So let's take this call or this question from Olan. Wouldn't most customers end up with a lower blended rate provided that they are currently at a sub 5% note rate with keeping their current loan and simply adding or refinancing their HELOC? Do either one of you have something to comment on that? I do after you're done, but
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah, I obviously I look at that as an approach. If a customer comes and is just buried in revolving debt, but does not have a home equity in place, we'll certainly look at the home equity to see if that's a good position. As I said in scenario one, the credit score was lower because their utilization rate was so high. So that may eliminate the opportunity for a HELOC, but we do look at that if they don't have one in place combined with their credit score. So yes.
Dio, do you have any comment before I do?
No, I mean, Chad's exactly right. It's a case by case basis, and I think it's important that we as the originator, look at that situation holistically. If we have the opportunity to offer a HELOC, we need to look at that. But like Chad said, oftentimes those people that have that lower credit score, their rate on a HELOC could be massive, and that changes that blended rate. I'll actually do multiple blended rate calculations for people and show them the comparison. This is, a straight cash out refi. This is a HELOC to pay off your debt.
So what is the name? I know that I was talking to Andre Potararu about this a couple of weeks ago. I guess there's a HELOC company out there right now that's an AI underwriting thing. It's like quick and dirty. Like you get like approval and like close in like less than a week, and they're making $1,500 on every one of them that they do or something like that. What do you guys know the name of that company?
Yeah, Figure.
That's right. So any other information you'd like to give this audience about Figure?
I've got clients who've used it. It's 7 to 10 days. It's super quick, painless, very AI driven. Yep.
You get paid on those, right?
You can. Yes.
How do you price those out?
There's a couple different compensation charts that you can choose when you get signed up with them.
But it's like, how much do you make?
I think 200 basis points.
Oh, well, okay. So, I mean, if they take out a $75,000 HELOC, there's your $1,500. And from what I understand, it's like easy breezy in terms of the amount of work that you have to do on it, right?
It's no work. To be honest, it's really nothing.
It's just like free money for the introduction. So that's something for everybody to take a look at. All right. What other questions we got?
This was much earlier in the call. I know someone asked, how do you advertise these opportunities? Obviously making the phone calls like the guys here said. But I mean, do you guys do any kind of marketing on this stuff that you're talking about?
Yeah, I was just about to say that was actually one of the questions that I think is really good. So specifically when it comes to the refinance opportunities and that, a quick social media post and do an example and record a quick video with you voiceover or your actual image on it. A social media post showing that how you can refinance and save somebody money. It's better if you have a real client's actual figures and you can talk about that. Social media is one good way. On the purchase side, one of the things that I've done is I leverage the relationship with that client to leverage a opportunity to go present to the real estate agent and show them what we did and how we structured that loan for their buyer. And that typically gets me into a full sales meeting. And so now instead of just showing it to one real estate agent, I'm able to show it to 20 or 30 and explain to them how this works. So that's been huge for me because then the realtors are bringing it up to the customers and referring people that, bring up the fact that they have a lot of debt or they're worried about the house payment. They'll say, "Oh, I've got just the guy that you need to talk to." So that's the two ways I market it.
So I would add from a marketing perspective that telling stories are great marketing. So if I'm Chad as an example on the person that he just closed who had the 661 credit score, I would get, I wouldn't use their name, obviously, and maybe even get their permission to say, hey, I'm going to use your scenario and tell a story if you don't mind. And then I would send it out. I would just write a quick story, half page and email it to everybody in your database and say, hey, I just wanted to share something with you. I mean, one of the things that we need to always keep in mind, you guys, I like to tell this story. I remember like it was yesterday that I got a phone call one day when I was an originator, and the person that called me was a past client. And they said, hey, Tim, my name's so-and-so. You remember me? I'm like, yeah, of course. And he's like, do you do purchase loans? I'm like, do I do purchase loans? What are you talking about? And he's like, well, I don't know. He's like, you did a refi for me, but I didn't know if you did purchase loans. And then it dawned on me, they don't know. They don't know what you do. Your job is to teach them what you do. They don't know that you do loans in other states. They don't know that you do second homes. They don't know that you can pull cash out and consolidate the debt. Tell stories of the deals that you've done that stimulate their reticular activator. That's marketing, and have them go, oh, that's me. Or I know somebody who's in this situation. That will create deals for you, but get active. That's what I'm talking about when I say get active.
And on that same front, I mean, if you're already sending home reports out to your customers, that's fantastic. But if you're not, start doing that, because in there is a calculator that'll show if someone can lower their rate in refi. And then that also opens up a conversation for a potential debt consolidation with cash out. So make sure your customers are getting that monthly piece too. And if you have any questions on home report, we can answer them. But if you guys had any closing comments, we're right around call time here. If you want to close it up, and then we'll send the recording out later.
I'll turn it over to you two gentlemen. Great job, guys. Thank you very much for joining me today. Anything that you guys would like to close with?
Just thanks for the opportunity. These are both powerful tools. There are more on MBS Highway. These are just an example of some of the stuff that's available there. Use them. You're gonna get 2 to 3 more loans on the refinance for the blended rate once you get into a consistent habit of it.
Yeah, I would agree. I would encourage everyone, jump in there today, pull up a pass file, jump in, play with it, put in a debt consolidation, figure out how to use it, and don't be afraid of it, because it is a difference maker for you. So thank you guys for the opportunity to talk about it.
Yeah, and listen, here's one final thing. Put together one on yourself or on somebody that you know, or just make something up and do a Zoom recording and record yourself doing it, and then go back and watch it and look to improve. Like, where can I make this better? Practice on Zoom, and nobody will be critiquing you. You'll just be the person critiquing yourself and looking for improvements, and you'll get good at it real quick as long as you start doing it actively. Di, thanks for having us. Dan, thanks for having us. It was nice to be here.
We love you guys. And to our members that have joined us today, thank you so much. It means a lot that you spend so much time with us, and hopefully you, again, implement this and start seeing some results.
Thank you, guys.
Bye, everybody.
See you guys soon.
Bye, everybody.